So can we talk about just how lonely it can be when you're on the path that God has created for you? Because right now, I know I cannot be the only one. So if this is you, I see you and I feel you and I am right there with you. But lately I feel like I have done everything that God has commanded of me. I feel like I have answered everything according to His plan this far. And I have literally never felt more alone. I feel like I'm struggling a lot with doubt and God, I feel like I'm following your plan, so why does everything feel like instead of falling into place, it's just falling apart? And I don't have friends right now, and I'm lonely, and I feel alone. And this is not to say that I don't have friends, period. I do, but like they live hours away, and it's not always convenient. It's not drop of a hat, I can go see them, and they're busy and I'm busy. And it's also just a part of growing up. But I moved because I felt that's what God was calling me to do, but I'm not making friends, I'm not meeting new people, and people that I thought I had met and I made friends with, we've already fallen off, and I'm like, God, I don't know what you want me to do. This cannot be right. Maybe I'm not following your plan. What am I doing wrong? And if you've been following our Bible journey, we're in Exodus right now. And right now, we're going over the story of Moses. And Moses also struggles with lots of doubts. And we're not this far into the lesson in our reading, but I have read this far. And if you've been reading along, you know that we are reading about Moses freeing the Hebrews from Israel, from Egypt, and having Pharaoh release his people. And in chapter 14, I'm going to read you verse 16. No, not 16. Sorry. I'm going to read you verse 11. And in this verse, we see just how quickly we can forget everything God just took us out of. And because of fear, we see just how quickly we can forget how bad life really was where we were sitting prior to where we are now. And so at this point in chapter 14, they have been set free from Egypt. They have been let go. And they said to Moses, "Is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us in bringing us out of Egypt? Is it not this what we've said to you in Egypt? Leave us alone that we may serve the Egyptians. For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness." And if you've been following along, we know that we're just in the beginning stages in our reading of how hard it is for them in Egypt and the slavery and all the things that they're having to go through, and they're about to go through tons of plagues. And because of fear and them not knowing what's going to happen next, because everything's not just perfect and it's not falling into place as quickly as they think it should have or like they think it should be, they start to fear and they start to question and they start to get angry. And they're like, well, why didn't you just leave us? You should have just left us there. We would have been better in Egypt than we are now outside of Egypt in the wilderness. And we see just how quickly they forget how bad the situation was that they were in before. And we also do this in our life. Even I see myself doing this now. God, why did you bring me here? I feel like nothing's getting better. Nothing is turning out how I thought it was going to turn out. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What did I do to deserve this? Like, I feel so utterly alone, and this is not right. And how quickly I am to forget how bad of a place I was in just months ago. That I forget that God delivered me just like he delivered the Egyptians out of such a bad place, and they forgot because of fear, because of not knowing. They forgot just how much God saved them from. And I have done the same thing. I forget and I look back, and when I take a moment to actually think about it, I realize how much God has worked through my life already, how much he has delivered me from already. And sometimes it's hard for us to see that and to remember just how bad it was before and be thankful for that loneliness, for that isolation, for those moments of peace, to finally be able to breathe. Like, yes, I do get lonely, and yes, some days it is hard. But then I remember all the times, even just months ago, I wished for just peace. I wished for just things to be slow. And I also take this as like God's giving me time to finally rely on him, to realize there's no better friend, there's no better relationship, there's no better friendship than what we will have with him. And how much comfort and peace that he can bring us. And, hold on. Sorry, trying to hear my parents about me. And so, during this time, we often find ourselves being emotional. I found myself being very emotional and getting upset and crying and just feeling it all. And again, as much as I hate emotion sometimes, it's also something I prayed for, because a couple years ago I was so numb I couldn't feel emotion, and then I prayed and prayed and prayed for emotion, and now I have it. And sometimes I seem to forget that too, because even the small things, right? But some things you can't fix with emotions. They can be helpful guides. Like, your emotions can be a helpful guide to get you to a certain place. But sometimes when you just sit with that emotion day in and day out, it just creates more of what you're asking God to take you out of. And I heard that in a sermon, and I realized just how true that is, because there is a time and place for grieving and for emotion. Emotion is important. I'm not saying it's not. It is. It's very important. But we can't sit in that emotion. We can't sit in that place, because if we're asking God to take us out of it and we continue to sit in it, it's like just sitting in a mud puddle. And you're like, I really just want to be dry, and I'm tired of getting soaking wet, but you just continue to sit out in the rain in the mud puddle, and you don't get up and you don't move. And so nothing's going to change when you're sitting there getting soaked. And sometimes the only way to deal with what you're going through is to just keep trudging through it. And sometimes when you pray for God to move a mountain, you're going to wake up and he's going to hand you a shovel, because it's not just easy all the